On this episode of This Must Be the Place, we talk to the good doctor, Charles LoveJoy, about LoveJoy's Bloody Mary mix. We talk about the Bryn Mawr neighborhood in Minneapolis and some of the great places and history of that area. And we have a little BooMTimes. And then we're skipping over the real estate talk.
We don't need it every week.
No, because no one listens to us for real estate. They listen to us for us.
Truth.
You know what I'm saying?
Preach,
For
brother.
the dynamic.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, it's 2025. Real estate, meh, who cares?
But we are realtors.
Yeah.
This must be the place. Yeah, this must be the place. Ain't no time to waste. Ain't no time to waste. So whether you in Minneapolis or St. Paul, Bloomington to Maple Grove, from the east side to the west side, down south to way up north, let me hear you say, this must be the place.
Let's just change it all up. Let's call our podcast Around Town. Two Men About Town.
Oh, God. All right, hold on. I got to think about how I'm going to say this.
It better be great this week.
It's not. I mean, it's good.
Is it?
M would appreciate it. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And welcome to This Must Be the Place.
Welcome.
The only
Yes.
Twin Cities real estate and real estate adjacent podcast where one of the hosts
Better be great.
has lost his Minnesota accent and refers to the city now as New Prague, as it should be called.
I don't understand that at all.
Okay, so there's a city outside the Twin Cities.
New Prague.
Called,
It's called New Prague.
No, it's called New Prague.
No, listen. It is called New Prague. It should be called New Prague.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's just a quirky thing that
No.
people do here.
That is the Minnesota accent coming through. Prague.
No.
Let's go to Prague.
Is that really where that comes from?
Yes.
New Prague?
New Prague.
Oh God, it's New Prague. It's not New Prague.
That's where it comes from.
It's not Prague.
I Wikipedia'd the city of New Prague.
Well, then it's got to be, right?
And it was founded, of course, by Czech immigrants
From Prague?
from Prague.
Okay.
And that's why they called it New Prague. But our dumbass Fargo accents,
New Prague.
New Prague.
We're going to get a bagel in New Prague.
A whole bag of
Oh,
bagels.
a baggie of bagels. How does that happen? How does bag turn to bag, but bagel turns to bagel?
No.
A baggie of
it's
bagels.
A bag of bagels.
No, who says bagel? Who says bagel?
I'm from here, bro.
And milk.
Yeah.
Roof.
New Prague.
Root.
And now, This Must Be the Place presents Neighborhood Watch.
All right. We are going to kick off the episode talking about Neighborhood Watch this week.
Oh, God, right into it, huh?
Right into it. We've got a fantastic little gem of a neighborhood called
is it
Bryn Mawr. It's hidden. I'd say it's a hidden gem.
It is hidden.
No, it's kind of right out there.
It's hidden.
It's
I'm
called
saying it's hidden.
Bryn Mawr. If you are from the Twin Cities, you probably have heard of it. A lot of you may be familiar with where it is geographically. A lot of you may have spent time in Bryn Mawr, but it is a fantastic little neighborhood. It is Welsh for Big Hill.
Ooh.
Bryn
I
Mawr.
was going to say big head.
Not Big Head, Todd and the Monsters. You remember that band?
I do. I think of it more now as Big Head from Silicon Valley.
Oh, yeah, I like that show.
Yeah.
That was good. So Bryn Mawr, it sits on the far west side of the city of Minneapolis, kind of borders Golden Valley to the east. Pretty central in the city of Minneapolis, but very far west.
Yep.
These are my notes. I'm bullet pointing it.
So it's like Cedar Lake. So if you trace the sort of, I'm going to get this wrong, the southwest side of Cedar Lake, and you trace that and then move across 394 where it hits Penn Avenue,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
Then you follow Penn Avenue up to the railroad tracks and follow the railroad tracks all the way back around to like where Dunwoody is meets 94, and then come back. That's Bryn Mawr. It's this like pie wedge slice kind of
Theodore
Theodore Wirth Park, a lot of stuff.
Yep.
It's a weird boundary, but it's a very cool place.
Yeah, it reminded me of looking at the dimensions of the neighborhood. It reminded me of a bird's head. With the neck and all.
I'm gonna have to.
You'll have to look that up.
Right,
but
okay.
so yeah, I believe about 70% of it, 75% of it.
Are you sure Bryn Mawr doesn't mean bird's head?
Dude, I don't know Welsh as well as I thought I did.
Do you think you know Welsh?
Yeah, I've been to Wales.
I've been to Welsh Village.
I think that's Welch, like the grape jelly.
Tomato.
So I believe about 75% of Bryn Mawr sits north of 394.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said, like Penn is kind of the main arterial street of northern Bryn Mawr, and the rest sits south.
The fancy part.
You can call it the fancy part, sure, because, it's by water. And in Minneapolis, the closer you are to water, the more bougie the house is.
I was going to say the more you have a chance to get wet.
Well, yeah, true. True story. Oh, my Lord.
We're starting out with a bang.
We're coming in hot here.
Coming in hot.
So Bryn Mawr is one of the coolest neighborhoods in the Twin Cities, in my opinion, because of the parkland. So Bryn Mawr has over 650 acres of parkland, which is crazy. Most of it is due to, of course, Theodore Wirth Park, which we'll talk about. But because of this, it was also, in 2022, the Star Tribune named it the hottest place in Minneapolis for home sales based on prices, sales, and days on market compared with the previous 5-year average. 2022, not that long ago.
Yeah.
So it's still a really, I equate it to our episode, our Seward episode, when we talked about the Seward neighborhood being like, if you live there, you will not stop talking about it, and you're like a rabid, like
enthusiast.
I'm a Seward head.
Seward head.
Seward head.
Seward rat. That's where we landed.
That's right.
That's right.
I think similarly, Bryn Mawr, if you
Mall rat. It's like a mall rat. That was. I'm onto something here.
You are really working on all cylinders today, bro.
I'm firing. I got the Diamond Dew coursing through my veins, my man.
Mawr rat and Seward rat.
That's good.
Yeah. But yeah, though I kind of get both neighborhoods to me evoke when I've talked to people that live there in the past, when I've sold homes in those neighborhoods, people just rant and rave and love their neighborhoods and will tell anybody that wants to hear or doesn't want to hear how much they love their neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we get to kind of what makes Bryn Mawr, what have you to say, sir?
In life, or just about Bryn Mawr? We try.
Let's start with Bryn. We'll go micro and
we'll start with Bryn Mawr.
Yeah, we'll start with Bryn Mawr.
Well, you're just giving it to me right off the bat, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll take it in two sections, so you can come back to me after my first little section.
Sounds great.
First, it's got a bunch of quaint little cool shops in Bryn Mawr. So when you get off 394 there on Penn, is that Penn?
It's Penn.
Right? Sort of nondescript first exit, little exit off 394.
Yeah, little exit, yep.
You can make a right and go into the heart of Bryn Mawr, or make a left and go to the Cedar Lake area of Bryn Mawr.
If you're going west.
Yep. So if you make that right, that's predominantly where all the shops are as you head towards.
Just unique little.
So there's a really
shops.
cool little bookstore there called Big Hills Books, which, as we know in Welsh, Big Hills means what?
Bryn Mawr.
That's right. So Bryn Mawr Books. It's a local Big Hills Books. I don't want to mess up the name too much. Big Hills Books. It's a local, small, general purpose, general reading bookstore. Reminds me a lot of the Red Balloon in St. Paul.
Yep.
Except not for kids. The Red Balloon, if you know St. Paul on Grand Avenue, is a kids bookstore.
Do you remember the Hungry Mind?
Hungry Mind was a McAllister bookstore, and that was fantastic.
It was,
and now that's a Patagonia. What a waste of regentrified crap that is.
I know. Isn't Patagonia a good company, though?
Patagonia is great, obviously.
Like,
if you can afford a jacket from Patagonia, it's great.
Right. But I think their owner is generally
for sure
altruistic with his...
Nice guy. Great, good billionaire.
But right. Good billionaire.
But the Hungry Mind was cool. And then, as we all know, Garrison Keillor took that over and did a whole bunch of womanizing and
I knew that.
All sorts of weird stuff. And now that's another bookstore on, it's like the McAllister College, like bookstore right there. It's actually on
For students.
Snelling, Grand and Snelling.
Okay.
So it moved, but the Hungry Arm is great. So this it has that kind of vibe. But it's really cool because it offers children's story hour and like young readers workshops, and it offers an open mic night where you can do like comedy and music and storytelling. It has local authors and
Cool.
non-local authors come through and read.
I did
So
not
it's
know
just
that.
a really cool like neighborhood hub and bookstore, and support local bookstores in the age of everything being, delivered through Amazon and putting companies out of business. Go,
Support local bookstores. That's very, very well put. Like Wild Rumpus in Linden Hills. Have you ever been there?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
They've got cats and chinchillas and
Yeah.
running around the whole
We have a
chickens.
lot of great local bookstores in the Twin Cities. It's a
I
pretty
know.
well educated market. The University of Minnesota, their MFA program is one of the best in the country. So I feel like, we Open Table, is that another one?
I believe that is the restaurant software to make reservations.
Maybe. Open Book.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my bad. That's funny. But it's right on Washington Avenue.
Okay. And there's my local favorite small bookstore is on Minnehaha right by Hiawatha. And Resi. And I can't friggin' think of the name of it, but it's great.
we'll get there when we do that neighborhood.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's
we
for
will.
another neighborhood.
Yes. Anyway.
La Mesa, which is an Ecuadorian-inspired restaurant, where you can get lots of good seafood, a burger if you want to be boring. But then they have like some Ecuadorian-inspired pizza with like roasted corn.
Nice. They got Ecuadorian population here too.
Yeah, like chorizo. They have tacos. They have everything's kind of wood fire, so they have wood fire like pulled pork and plátanos and like just a bunch of really good Ecuadorian food. And I love Ecuadorian food. My best friend growing up was Ecuadorian. I spent some time in Quito with him, and so.
Did you ever have cuy? You know what that is?
I don't.
Guinea pig.
I have not, and nor would I.
It's big in parts of Ecuador.
Oh, okay.
I've never had it either, but
Ooh, okay. And then there's one microbrewery called Utapils.
Utapils, yeah.
Utapils.
Yep.
Which I'm allergic to beer
You are?
and wine.
What?
Yeah, it's hard liquor or bust for me. It's old fashioned or bust. But so I don't know any of the beers or microbreweries locally by how the beer actually tastes. But from what I know about this place, people love it. They say it's one of the best, if not the best, microbreweries in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
It's right on Basset Creek.
European inspired. Super like that kind of like that funky, skunky, yeasty, kind of like Eastern European style beers.
All the smells that I love.
Yeah. I love that stuff.
So, but it's also a really cool space for events, indoor, outdoor, fire pits, pool tables, right along the creek there, food truck. So it's definitely, if you're into microbreweries, local fairs, great place to check out if you're looking for a new adventure and you haven't been over to the Bryn Mawr neighborhood or heard of that. Cool place to go, especially in the summertime or when it's warmer, spring, fall.
Love Utapils.
Yep.
Love their beers. Love their brewery.
Yeah. They got cool merch too.
I'm not familiar with the merch.
I don't know if they got cool branding.
Yeah. You're right. I like the branding.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about a couple of things about Bryn Mawr. I talked to a couple of past clients of mine. Shout out Jeff and Carrie.
Friends of the pod.
Friends of the pod. And they purchased a house. I helped them purchase a house in Bryn Mawr a couple years ago. They live on the south side. I'm not going to dox you guys, but you live on the south side of 394. Just kind of talk to them about, since you've lived there for the last couple of years, what do you love about the area? What do you love about Bryn Mawr? They love this coffee shop called Cup of Java.
Oh, yeah.
I have never been. But
I have.
Yeah, I Googled it, and it seems amazing. And they have dogs, and they love, obviously, Theodore Wirth Park, but they especially love Brownie Lake.
Yeah.
So it's the smallest, talk about hidden gems. Brownie Lake is this like, almost like imagine like a clearing. You're walking through weeds and a clearing opens up and it's just like a little lake. That's kind of Brownie Lake. It's off the beaten path. And like all the other chain of lakes in Minneapolis, can we name them?
Sure.
Lake of the Isles.
Boom. Quicker.
Lake Bede-Makaska, Lake Harriet, Lake Hiawatha, Lake Nokomis, Cedar Lake, and Brownie Lake. I think I got them. I think that's 7. Like Brownie Lake doesn't have the fancy paved bike paths that all the other lakes have. It's kind of like, well established, but dirt. It's a very secluded lake. And interestingly, the hydrology of Brownie Lake.
What is that? That's a big word.
It's a meromictic lake.
Which
means there are 2 layers of water in the lake with differing physical and chemical conditions. So the top layer, I'm not going to get into it.
Because you can't pronounce it.
But there's only 2 meromictic bodies of water in Minneapolis. Spring Lake and Brownie Lake.
Okay.
There's a chemicline that separates the top layer of the lake.
What are you doing,
Which contains dissolved oxygen from the bottom layer, which is anoxic.
Okay, so nothing can live on the bottom layer?
I don't know what any of that means, but
no oxygen.
Anoxic. That sounds right, yeah. Yep.
It's like sludge.
Yes.
Heavy sludge.
But Brownie Lake has high concentrations of dissolved iron.
So it's like red.
It's like red, yes. But the history, do yourself a favor, go on the Minneapolis and Parks and Rec Board website, look up Brownie Lake, go to Wikipedia, look up Brownie Lake. It's a super interesting lake. But just like any of the other chain of lakes in Minneapolis, no motorized boats, nothing with a motor are allowed on it. Canoe and kayak till your heart's content. But anyway, Carrie and Jeff, shout out again. Love them some Brownie Lake.
So, do you know anything about Basset Creek?
Educate me.
Okay. Basset Creek starts at Medicine Lake, and it flows from Medicine Lake through Plymouth, Golden Valley, and then North Minneapolis, and exits into the Mississippi River. So there is a good portion of Basset Creek that is in Golden Valley where you can still see the creek. If you've ever looked at a Google map of Minneapolis, you'll notice this creek that dies into a very thin blue line that seemingly goes under the city, right between Burrough and Bar La Grassa, and exits into the Mississippi River. That is Basset Creek. It was originally called Falls Creek by Dakota and Ojibwe because it led out where the St. Anthony Falls were.
Sure.
It wasn't called Falls Creek. It was called their word for that. I'm not going to butcher that.
No.
So this guy, J.B. Bassett, who might have been Jimmy Bernie Bassett.
I think I was on something there.
Moves to Minnesota, 1850s, decides he's going to build a sawmill right on the mouth of where Basset Creek comes out, which is approximately the Plymouth Avenue Bridge on the west side, west bank of the Mississippi River. Builds a sawmill, does all sorts of sawmilly things, and over the next 20 years, it becomes like this open wound of a creek that is just like disgusting with a sawmill on the end of it. And as they develop the rail yards and everything around the sawmill as North Minneapolis and Minneapolis in general sort of expands and develops, it becomes worse and worse and worse because now it is kind of an open area pit for the residents of that area to dump dead animals and ash from heating and fires and garbage and pretty much everything else into this, what the mayor at that time of Minneapolis called like a disgusting open sewer, right?
Jeez.
So this beautiful river that kind of wound its way through Minneapolis now is completely disgusting. And by the 1900s, it's flooding a whole lot, which makes the area super unstable because it's just consistently like a wetland and a bog with this creek running through it that's sort of an open sewer. And they decide that they're going to build a 1.5 mile tunnel and encapsulate it and pretty much bury this river through North Minneapolis. They clearly did a shit job. So in 1930, they build the Sumner Fields apartment projects, right? Which are, if you ever take 94 and you hit Plymouth on 94, you look to your left and there's a new housing development there. They kind of look like they were built in early 2000s. They're like 2, 3, and 4 story apartments with sort of A-frame type roofs.
I know what you're talking about.
So that was
I actually do.
Sumner Fields. And it was the first urban housing project in Minneapolis.
Okay.
It was largely Jewish population, then it became largely black population, and by the time it was torn down in the 90s, it was largely like Southeast Asian population. They did a terrible job because like all of the basements used to flood there from Basset Creek, which was still like a sewer from all this stuff. So you had suburban development out in Plymouth, so all the runoff from all the now impermeable land is having a hard time. Everything, all the toxins are going into Basset Creek. North Minneapolis, all the runoff is going into Basset Creek. The pipes underneath these housing projects are bringing all this wastewater to the Mississippi, and it was a huge problem. So by the time you get to the 1960s, they want to figure out a good solution for this thing. Incidentally, Prince lived in the Summerfield housing projects. So the 1960s come, and they think about ways that they can develop the wetlands near north, right? You have 94 that came through that made the problem worse. Like all of the urban development, impermeable land made the runoff worse, right? And since they straightened it out and cut it straight through to exit in the river, it just had become clogged and an issue for basements flooding everywhere over north. And eventually they settled on a plan where they wanted to like dig up the creek and like open it back up and make it like this cool waterway through Minneapolis.
Oh, man.
This is the only waterway through Minneapolis, like an urban waterway. Think of Chicago River or something like that.
Right. Or
that like
Milwaukee,
we didn't value, but they couldn't do it. It was too expensive. So next idea, let's build a longer tunnel, make it wider, and let that now come out at the mouth of the Mill City ruins, which they completed in 1992. So Basset Creek is this hidden urban waterway under the city in Minneapolis.
And that's what we have today.
And that's what we have today. And if they ever did get to a place where they wanted to dig this thing up, I mean, it'd be a huge undertaking. But imagine this urban waterway with urban kayaking, urban canoeing, if they could figure out a way to properly
would be
treat
so
things.
cool, man.
That went all through North Minneapolis, all through the North Loop, and then ended where the Mill City ruins are. Can you imagine kayaking through some of those?
Yeah, that
ruins?
would be such an asset.
It's never going to
for the city.
happen, or it seems like it'd be an enormously expensive undertaking to have happen, but it would be super cool if they could ever get the political capital and actual capital to do something like that.
That is super cool. I appreciate,
Yeah.
and our listeners and viewers should appreciate that too, because I did not know that.
Yeah, it's I don't know, the reason I brought it up because it does run a lot through the Bryn Mawr neighborhood, because that bridge is pretty much part of Golden Valley and North Minneapolis.
For sure. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about is Theodore Wirth Park, as people in the city and in the Twin Cities know. Huge park within Minneapolis and also Golden Valley, I believe.
Second largest urban space in the United States.
Well, second largest municipal park in the
that's what I
United
meant.
States.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Municipal urban park.
Yes.
Second to Central Park.
Central Park
Yeah.
in Manhattan.
Yep.
And it's actually almost the same size as Central Park.
Yeah.
So it's
Sprawling.
big, sprawling.
Yeah.
Most of it is in Bryn Mawr.
Yep.
And it's great. It's got, just like Central Park, it doesn't have a zoo, but it's got tons and tons and tons of stuff to do and trails.
Say animals.
It has tons of animals.
Lots of
Okay,
squirrels.
so
Did you know the squirrel?
yeah, I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah, my bad.
Let me cook.
I'm stepping on your toes.
You're mowing my lawn here.
All right.
So, our guest last week, John O'Sullivan from 1 Minute Tours and Hidden Middle, recently did a 1 Minute Tours on TikTok that I watched on Theodore Wirth.
It was very cool.
It was super cool. And I'm just going to kind of regurgitate a little bit of what John said in addition to a couple other
Friend
things.
of the pod. Shout out
of-
Hidden Middle. Go fund it on the Kickstarter.
Please. But this dude named Theodore Wirth was a Swiss immigrant. That means he's from Switzerland in Europe,
Not Wales.
not Wales.
Okay.
And he was widely regarded as the dean of the local parks movement in the United States. He moved here. He lived in New York, I believe, in New England for most of his adult life. But he moved here and was like, okay, we're going to have, every kid is going to be within 4 blocks of a park. You know, these were his big ideas. Very good ideas, I think. he was given various titles throughout his career. He was administrator of parks. He was a horticulturalist, a park planner. He also, this is the squirrel story that I learned from John O'Sullivan, 1 Minute Tours. He hated the native red squirrels that were in what's now called Theodore Wirth Park. It wasn't called Theodore Wirth Park at the time. For some reason, I don't know. He didn't like the red squirrels.
Nasty little bastards.
Yeah, because the ones we have now are just amazing and great, right?
Fat and docile.
Yeah. So he organized essentially a bounty for the pelts or the hides or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a hunting man, but of the red squirrels in Theodore Wirth Park in Minneapolis.
Unless you're house hunting.
Oh, boy. And he hated these red squirrels. So everybody that brought him a pelt got money. And then basically wiped out the entire population of red squirrels in that part of Minneapolis. And decided that he loved the gray squirrels of New England and of the northeast part of the United States. So he was like, let's get some of those gray squirrels here in Minneapolis.
Sounds very similar to other pieces of American history, doesn't it?
It sure does when you put it like that.
Yeah.
It sure does. And long story short, that's why we have all these docile.
That's why there's so many white people in Minnesota.
I was going with the squirrel story, but read between the lines.
Oh, man.
But the gray, fat, docile, playful squirrels that you see smashed in the street by car tires and that are playing in your backyard are because of Theodore Wirth. But Theodore Wirth has, like, I think of it as cross-country skiing, golf courses, just a place, like a destination mecca for a lot to people.
It's got a regular skiing hill.
It does have a regular ski hill.
You can learn how to ski there, learn how to snowboard there.
You sure can.
You can fish. You can bike.
You can do all of that stuff.
You can do it all.
And it has, how many acres did we say?
600 and some, 640?
No, Bryn Mawr has 650 acres of parkland, but Theodore Wirth Park itself is 759 acres.
There you go.
Central Park is
762.
It's a little more than that, but it's in the 800s. So it's
we're close.
It's a huge park, and it is part of what makes Bryn Mawr.
Yeah.
And we love Bryn Mawr.
We love Bryn Mawr. We want to welcome Charles LoveJoy, the good reverend, creator of LoveJoy's Bloody Mary Mix. Yeah. Overall, incredible human being. And we
all go back a long ways.
So we're so happy to have you on this podcast. It's always great to talk to like amazing people who are doing amazing things and local business owners who kind of make the Twin Cities work. But it's even better when it's someone that you know and love for 20,
almost 20 years.
Yeah,
we've known each other almost 20 years.
So thank you for joining us today, man.
Absolutely, thanks for having me. This is exciting. I'm super proud of you both for all your accomplishments, and
you're on the highest listened to podcast in the Twin Cities.
It's the only podcast in the Twin Cities.
It's the only one.
The only one.
The only one.
Only one that matters.
Amazing.
You know.
There we go.
So if you've ever talking to the people out there, if you've been to how many liquor stores are you in?
In the metro, we're in about 60 or so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So you've probably seen LoveJoy's Bloody Mary Mix as you've gone around town. I almost said around town. South Lindale Liquors is my favorite liquor store, and that's where I first saw it years ago. So definitely have kind of a foothold and an anchor in the Twin Cities community, and that's what Casey was saying, man. It's great to have great products and great people in the Twin Cities. So thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
So I guess I'm going to ask how you got started, not because I don't know,
right?
But because I feel like they need to know. So tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got into this, and then when this became when it transitioned from
Sure.
bartending to
more
this.
than just a thing where people would come in just for your Bloody
Yeah.
Mary. That's how I remember it.
Yeah. And that's kind of where it started. Like I've been a bartender around Twin Cities for about 30 years.
Yeah.
Say for the last 3, we're doing this. I made a lot of Bloody Marys. I made a lot of cocktails. I curated a lot of drink lists around the Twin Cities and worked with some really great people. But I had started at a place called the Happy Gnome in St. Paul. Really popular at the time, like in 2008, as a really banging spot. Beer-focused gastropub. And in 2008, when I started there, I was the new guy. So I had Friday and Saturday and Sunday day shifts for the first year. I was like every third Monday, like
prime time shifts.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I had like half a shift a week. But then I finally got to those weekend day shifts, and they were running a brunch program at the time, and it was pretty sad. They had like 3 options on the menu. You had your French toast, your eggs, and like some sandwich. Like that was it.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, that's kind of the way things went. Like, bars didn't really do brunch.
Yeah.
Restaurants did, bars didn't really do brunch.
Sure.
So I wanted to optimize my shift and the money I could make. So I just went to management and was like, can we do something? Can we do a cocktail menu? I mean, the brunch menu had a Cuba Libre on it, which, is a rum and coke.
Rum and coke with a lime or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, can we do a little bit better than this? Like, it was a big deal. We were just discussing that the Gnome was kind of loose with their policies or whatever.
Yeah.
So they allowed me to do that. And I just started, they had a really good Bloody Mary mix when I started there. Like house made, and
So you stole the product.
basically.
All right.
So that year, it was probably 2009, 2010. A restaurant in St. Louis Park was voted best Bloody Mary mix. So
Okay.
and I had worked these weekends, and I couldn't give up a shift for like a year, because if I did, I would probably never get it back.
Sure.
Because I was starting to make some money, and they were starting to be a little bit busy. I didn't want anybody to know. If you ever worked in restaurants, you know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
You got to
for
hang
sure.
on to whatever
Yes.
you got to hang on to, and
Yes.
just don't say anything.
Yes.
So I finally got a Sunday off, and me and my wife went to this restaurant and had that Bloody Mary, and it was awful. It was really bad. I was really disappointed. I was like, wow,
Is this restaurant still in business?
it's not. No.
Do you know what you remember what it was called?
It was the new Filio.
I guess that doesn't surprise me, because that simultaneously seems like 50 years ago and 5 years ago. But 2008 feels like we weren't quite there. Like, for instance, beer. We were probably Summit EPA was
Our
the
restaurant.
crowning achievement
Right.
of craft beer back
Yeah,
then.
for sure.
Our restaurant revolution didn't happen quite in the Twin Cities at that point.
Right.
In terms of the foodie nature, the
It was
super
coming, but it wasn't
experimentation.
It was
Yeah.
coming,
Yep.
right?
And the Gnome was on the cutting edge of some a lot of gastropub. Back then, it was voted number 7 on USA Today's list of gastropubs in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
it was really
It was the first one to do 60, 70, 80 beers on draft.
that too.
That too,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And bringing them, mostly they were from the coast.
Yes.
East and West Coast.
So you had this terrible Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
And you said you had an epiphany, a light bulb went off?
I was like, I'm going to go back to the shop, go back to the restaurant, and then punch up bars and make sure that doesn't happen to anybody else anymore. And it was a process, and we got a new chef. Shout out to Scott Brink, who allowed me access to the kitchen, and he was like, "Whatever you want to do, let's do it."
That's amazing.
Yeah, he beefed up the brunch menu and put some really incredible food on there, and I just wanted to match that. So I was allowed to create a whole brunch cocktail list, not just the Bloody Marys. Punched up the Bloody Mary a little bit, and then eventually changed that whole recipe. We added Bloody Mary bar, because we started getting more and more popular.
Yeah.
And again, out of self-preservation, I didn't want to add another bartender or another server or anything.
Gatekeep that shit, man.
Instead,
Yeah.
of me making the cocktails. Just put it over there and let the people make the
can make
cocktails.
it.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
You were ahead of the curve for
I was
all sorts of
trying.
like.
Yeah.
Just
You
out of
should have put
survival.
a little like, how much do you want a tip thing after they make their
Oh
own
yeah,
Bloody Mary?
see, that should have been. That should have been a little jar up there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or like.
So you were still like, after you got to that point, were you still tinkering, or were you like, okay, I have, this is the recipe?
Is that the recipe that we see today?
It had to change just because the nature of putting it in a bottle. So
Okay.
It changed a lot of. We had a preservative, which is vinegar, a lot more lime juice, some citric acid, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But yeah, it was kind of the basis of it, and then tinkering went on for a decade. Like I still tinker with it. Like
Okay.
It's never perfect for me.
Sure.
And then it is either you chase it for years, and I got some advice a few years ago from the head distiller at Tattersall. Once you set the recipe, just leave it alone and walk away.
Okay.
Because you're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I understand.
So
that
I was always trying new stuff, and we had at one point I think I had like 8 different mixes up on the bar.
Okay.
So I still got more to come, but yeah. So it just got really popular, and people were always asking about how they could get it, and like you put it in a container and we could take it to the cabin, that kind of thing. And this went on for a few years, and then one Sunday, my sister, who serial entrepreneur, force of nature, shout out Suzanne LoveJoy. She's also my business manager at the moment. She came in and she saw people's reactions to the mixes and how busy we were. Like we'd line out the door on Sundays, and
there really was. Like I remember this period of time because our kids were.
Yeah, you used to come in.
Yeah. We would come in. We're
right.
looking for good brunch places or whatever. And I don't drink a ton because we were talking earlier. I'm allergic to beer and wine, but like I love a good bloody. And I remember being like, "Oh, Charles makes a killer fucking Bloody Mary." Yeah. So
thanks for that. So she came in and was like, "We should put this in a bottle, start a business." Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff because I was happy. Like, and that sounds awful. Like, why would I want to start something like that?
I'm only laughing because that brings me back to, we were talking about it earlier, but that's kind of Charles, kind of like, he's great with not being the face of something.
Yeah,
feels
for
like,
sure.
right?
For sure. Yeah, I'm super happy to be in the background.
Yeah.
if it ever gets to the point where they're like, "Charles, we need your likeness on the bottles,"
fuck.
are you just gonna create like a avatar for yourself that isn't
I've
quite
thought
you?
about that. I've thought about that before because
Just getting an ulcer right
I
now
wanted
thinking about it.
to be able to say black owned without having to put black owned on it. And I was like, if I just put my face on there.
Yeah.
Just put a face on it. But then then that quickly went away. I was like, oh wait, then my face would be on.
Yeah.
I could put somebody else's face on
Yeah,
there.
you just get like some random like
dude.
character
Yeah.
actor,
Just
some
hire
random
an
black guy,
actor.
just
It's
be
like- Yeah, exactly.
hyper good looking, just like you get Michael B. Jordan.
saying
to do.
Charles is a good looking?
Nice. Yeah,
No,
I
I
like
mean
that.
Charles is very good looking. We gotta say.
No,
If
but I
someone's
don't
gonna-
want to be on there.
No,
if
I'm
someone's
just
gonna
kidding.
play you in the
Just lady.
biography,
Yeah.
you know, who's it gonna be? Get that guy on the bottle.
Exactly.
So that's kind of how
that's how it got started.
germination of the idea went from, weekend brunch shifts into, we could maybe bottle this thing.
Right.
Did
That
it-
was your sister.
Did it move quickly to full-time business?
Oh hell no. Oh,
No,
no.
okay.
No way, right?
No.
Okay.
And then so getting back to the germination part, my mother was running a nonprofit at the same time.
Okay.
And
Dr. Margaret LoveJoy.
Dr. Margaret LoveJoy.
In my notes.
I knew there was a Dr. LoveJoy.
Yes, that's
right.
right.
Good
It's
doctor.
Dr. LoveJoy. But I was looking for a way to like help her out with donations, and like she'd do galas and like something on the table so people could take it with them.
Yeah.
And I put some in a bottle for like gift baskets, and it kind of went well. So I was just like, okay, we can. It took years. It took 2 years probably for me to go from the idea to actually having a legit legal bottle to sell.
Yeah,
Sure.
like
Okay.
licenses all procured.
Right,
And
right. I got to find
things
the
like
commercial
that.
kitchen. I had to do
Yes.
the licensing, go to a little certified food processing school.
Do you so at that point when you're going through all that stuff and bottling different versions, are you constantly having to tweak this recipe
Oh, for
because
sure.
of how the nature of it changes?
Exactly.
And do you quality control that? Is it based on what you think, or do you have like
Yeah, no.
focus groups? Like how far
I
in?
probably should.
Focus groups.
Yeah,
No, I
like
should.
just like a bunch of buddies. So
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely should.
And why wasn't Andy and I
Yeah,
part of that?
Yes,
Focus group.
Yes. 'Cause, yeah, no. So no, my focus group was the people at the bar.
Okay.
You know, I had a nobody really knew I was making all the mixes, especially early on.
Sure.
So I had the direct feedback, and people would just be honest. You
Yeah.
know, if they,
Yeah.
this one's terrible. This one tastes like a bowl of chili. This one. Shout out to Stephanie Hansen. She's the one that got me to take the chili powder out because I had too much chili powder once, so I had to try it. She's like, "This tastes like chili." I'm like, "Oh, she's the liver."
Thanks
on
for
this
the
corner.
feedback.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. I was able to take that feedback and then change it, and I was able to do it on the fly. So the very next week,
Okay.
I could just change it.
Yeah.
So I was making it every week.
Yeah.
So I was able to change and tweak those recipes to, and then like we said, like when we go to put it in the bottle, there's other things that you have to add,
Sure.
like a lot of vinegar to keep the pH low down.
Preservatives or
Right.
anything?
Well, no, nothing.
like the
all
natural
right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
a little bit more lime juice.
Yeah.
Those kind of like citric acid. And then there's a process authority, which is called, which is somebody who takes your bottled product and tests the pH, tests the shelf stability, and the practicality of it all, and signs off on it. So,
Okay.
And she didn't have to make any adjustments, but that would be
Yeah.
where
It's a lot of
some
food
that
science
would
that
come in.
goes into it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, then it just kind of went, and then
And this, what year are you talking right now? Like when did it go from like giving out samples at your mom's events to like your
To
first,
this.
your first bottle in a retail space? What year was that?
I think 2018.
Okay.
So almost 10 years from the time I started the Gnome to the first
Okay.
bottle that went on a shelf.
Yeah.
Was the pandemic good for you?
It was kind of good. We're kind of just getting moving with we had like 3 or 4 accounts. We're adding more every week, it seemed like.
You're still bartending at this time?
I'm still bartending.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. So I was selling it from behind the bar at the Gnome. I was in like 2 retail spots.
They
at that
let you
point.
sell that too?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet,
That was
man.
pretty cool.
Is the goal national
World
everywhere? Like I
domination.
want to be fucking Tito of Tito's.
Handmade vodka?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a quarter of that. I'll take a tenth of that.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I like where we're positioned. I like being the kind of a niche, good gifting product. Like I don't want to be zing zang. I don't want to be.
Sure.
I don't need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And like because it's not for everybody. Like it's unique, definitely unique flavors.
Are these
Yeah.
gift available? Or are these
These
like
are
the-
gift available.
Look at this
Yeah.
thing,
Isn't
man.
that
It's
nice?
amazing.
Yeah.
And the packaging is all recyclable.
recyclable, yes,
sexy
yes.
recyclable.
Yeah, we try
It's good, man. I can't wait.
we try.
It's great.
for sure.
And
But
you're,
yeah.
it seems like you're growing also in the sense of obviously you've got a new design for the bottles.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a new flavor. If you want to shout out chimichurri.
We got the chimichurri.
How
Shout
many
out
flavors in total?
3
Okay.
of the mixes.
Okay.
We're working on some more. The
You've got smaller
chimichurri.
bottles too now, right?
We got the 8 ounce.
The 8 ounce.
It's a little sample size.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to lean into now, especially with everything that's changing in the landscape of alcohol and drinks and stuff, this stuff is great to cook with. It's really
wow.
fun to cook with. Any kind of tomato sauce, anything with the tomato base works really well. My mom is working on a cookbook. The chimichurri, I got to shout out to Burger Daddies, Brian and Nikki Podrowski. They're fabulous. I've known them for years, but they had a dipping sauce, a chimichurri dipping sauce.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
green. And I've been looking to make a green Bloody Mary anyways. And
Yeah.
I tasted it and I was like, this is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I got to
Okay.
do something with this. And
That's so cool because you would think it would be like tomatillos or something.
yeah, well, it is tomato.
Well, tomatillos, but you would think it would be like, you would call it like tomatillo or something
Right.
like that. But
Right.
the branding of chimichurri and the addition of whatever else, all parsley, garlic, whatever else you put in there, is just unique branding and unique flavor, and it's
it stands
awesome.
out. Definitely stands out.
Yeah,
and it's a really good product. And
yeah.
they're great to work with and to collaborate on this thing, and yeah, it's helped us, I think, get the national attention that we just recently got.
What you talking about?
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Please
Oh.
expound.
What?
No, tell us.
November 1st, we announced that we were selected to be one of Oprah's favorite things.
Get out of here, dude.
Yes.
Dude, your face is about to be everywhere. Good luck with that.
It's already the promotion's done.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's incredible, man.
It was insane. So this fall
Did you
and
get to
winter,
talk to Oprah?
I didn't.
She wasn't like, here's some bloody for everyone.
I don't know. I was hoping to get on at least like a phone call or something. But no, I didn't get a phone call.
That's a missed opportunity for her.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. So that was incredible. And then that led to ABC Nightly News with David Muir. But they did a special holiday edition, and Oprah comes on and says, hey, David, these are some of our favorite things. And we were featured.
That's amazing.
I know, it was insane.
She said the word LoveJoy.
No, she did not. There was 7 of us.
She was like, these are our favorite things.
I was
And
gonna
went
say,
to like
that's like a brush
a
with
bad
greatness.
voice actor that's like, LoveJoys.
LoveJoy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary mix.
Oh, that's
Bloody
super
Mary
cool.
mix.
That's funny you mentioned that too, because in leading up to this, I was thinking about my wife, Sarah, who, shout out Sarah,
Your
is
ex-girlfriend.
obsessed. My ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I call my wife my ex-girlfriend because technically it's true.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. So my ex-girlfriend is and has been for years now obsessed with LoveJoy's Thai basil Bloody Mary mix. Like,
That's the third flavor?
That's the third flavor, yeah.
Second.
That sounds-
That was,
That was the second flavor.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's- yes.
That sounds amazing.
To the point where it's a little obsessively unhealthy. But she seeks it out anywhere she goes.
She
And
gargles
I
with it
told
at
her-
night
and
instead of
you've
scope.
met her
She's just sitting
before,
there,
but
bottles
this,
under the bed. It's like,
yeah, right, yeah,
Sorry, Sarah.
Exactly.
yeah, hiding
Shower.
it, yeah, hiding
Shower
it in
bottles.
the back in the back of the
But there's no
toilet.
alcohol
There's no
in the
alcohol,
Bloody Mary
so
mix,
yeah,
so whatever.
it's
It's
yeah.
fine.
vitamins, you're good.
But you mentioned Oprah, and I was thinking if my wife had Oprah's favorite things, you would be like. Your
I'll
product
take
would be
it.
number
She
one
should.
5 years running.
Why don't we have Sarah's
I
favorite
know,
things next
I
year?
know, I know.
That could be a
For the
new
gift-giving
segment.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah's favorite thing.
Sarah's favorite things?
Yeah, it would be about 12 things.
How are those throw pillows she got last week?
They're good. Oh yeah. She was. Yep. We were recording last week, and she was texting me couch pillows options. It was the holidays. Everybody was off.
It's a crazy time.
Yeah, it's a crazy time for everyone.
crazy.
you
It's
know?
pretty crazy in Andy's family, or Andrew's family.
Yeah. Anyway, but I did want to mention that the in addition to the other two, what do you call them? Flavors?
Skews, flavors, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The Thai basil is
Yeah, that's pretty good.
highly sought after in my neck of the
I think
woods.
it's probably my favorite thing.
Okay.
I will say that even just as an in general, because I don't drink a ton of alcohol. This over just a healthy amount of ice as a sipper, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine the
agree.
Thai basil and the other one are just
Yeah.
the same.
Well, we got some for you.
So you partner with organizations that help with homelessness too? How does that work?
So my mother's, when we started this, we founded it as a SBC, a Specific Benefit Corporation, which is just a designation that says that we are about stuff.
Sure.
We're about it.
Okay.
We're about profit, but not only profit.
It's not. We're not a nonprofit or anything like that. But we do donate. Her organization was one of the only one in Ramsey County that was helping homeless families during the day. So it was a day center. So she had a Montessori. She had job training. They served breakfast and lunch, and then they'd help them find housing for the nights.
Okay.
So she did that for 20 years. She closed her doors in 2019.
Okay.
2020. So yeah, we just kind of pivoted to other organizations that have the same missions.
Okay.
Face to Face is one of them, which is a great outreach center in St. Paul. They have on-site dentists. They have on-site optometrists.
So these are all local organizations
Local
you work with
organizations,
too.
yeah.
So you see the result like
Exactly.
immediately and the impact of what
Right,
you're doing.
right.
That's great.
Yeah, we definitely try. C2I, which is Connections to Independence, which helps young women who are aging out of the foster care system.
Okay.
From 18 to like 22, so they help them with housing and whatnot. And True Art Speaks is like a organization that helps that promotes creativity and writing skills, and I don't know, maybe even you worked with them. I don't know.
I haven't. I'm going to go search them up after this.
Yeah, it's really a great organization, and they go into schools and teach kids how to write bars, or how to write poetry, how to just get their feelings out.
Sure, cool, in
a productive way. So
it always surprised me how many organizations are in the Twin Cities that are arts focused, that go into schools and do beatboxing stuff, or Native American dance, or writing, or So there are tons of cool organizations, and I would love to know more about that one.
Tish Jones.
Yeah.
Great organization. So yeah, that's kind of our mission, and it keeps me motivated to keep pushing forward in those days where I don't want to do this anymore. Like, think about the impact that we can have, and
for sure
in the communities, and just being that. I just want to be someone that kids can look up to and say, hey, like this guy, or not kids, even like other bartenders, or whoever that's ever think about doing their own thing, like you guys did.
I think it's always nice to show. First of all, you never know who's watching. It's something I've learned, or following, right? And it's always nice when you have some sort of public facing side to show people that this thing that they love to do, whatever it may be, right? Bartending, rapping, writing, selling houses, whatever it is, right? Like, can lead you to places that you didn't know were connected or existed off of that.
Right. For sure.
So I think it's really cool that you do that and show like bartending can somehow ultimately be impactful to homeless families and, foster kids. Exactly. Like make that connection make sense to a 20-year-old bartender, and it might kind of blow their mind like where that path could lead. So it's cool that you can actively show that.
Totally, and to have the association among the public and everybody else that that you not only do this but you do this too, I think is super cool.
Yeah. Do you miss being a bartender?
Some days.
Yeah.
Some days.
How about right now? Do you miss being it right now?
Right.
Would you like to make us drinks right now?
I do, actually.
Oh, that would be fucking amazing.
Let's do it. I'll make these.
Oh, you don't?
I'll make it. I got you. If you don't mind me, like.
No.
Do you guys? But yeah. So now like we were talking about before, moving on to co-packers.
Yeah.
They're doing. I mean, we're doing pallets in a day. They're doing pallets in a day.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's lately it's been hard to keep up.
Is it like
yes or no? We don't have to.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
Is it like each bottle? Is it like wine bottle? Is it like 750 milliliters?
Yep.
Okay. Which is about 25.3 ounces, I believe, if my old restaurant bar manager math works out.
25.6.
Damn it!
You're close, though.
I was close, yeah.
So, Case, we're going to give it you the Thai basil since you've never had it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I even brought the little skewer.
Oh, stop it.
Well, you got to do the thing up.
Incidentally, while Charles is making us delicious LoveJoy's Bloody Mary mix Bloody Marys, I wanted to say I've known Charles since 2008, early 2008. In addition to being Casey's boss, I was also Charles' boss.
He likes to throw that out there.
It was great.
It's very true.
But this will speak volumes as to who Charles is as a person and a business owner and everything. And maybe my memory is wrong, but in hindsight, I always think of you as the most level-headed, even-keeled bartender in a sea of hyper, crazy, moody, angry, outgoing restaurant staff, whether it be a manager.
So you're saying the restaurant industry is
dishwasher.
not for well-adjusted people?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying chefs. We've all worked with a chef who's been absolutely insane. Charles was I could always rely on Charles to be like, he never got too high and never got low. Like he was always even keel. He,
I was drunk though.
Whatever
Just
it took.
hammered. Just absolutely hammered.
Whatever it took. No, I could always, like, if I was going into a shift and Charles was bartending, I was always like, hell yeah. Never any drama. Just,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
By the time I started working with you, I had been bartending for like 15 years.
Yeah.
already,
So you had been through all that.
Through a lot. I had calmed down quite a bit.
Yeah.
So,
This is amazing.
oh, thanks, man.
Like,
I'm trying the
I
chimichurri
love
for the first time.
Thai food,
Uh huh.
and On's Thai
Yeah, me too.
is my favorite
That's
place.
my favorite. They actually have this. They did.
Number
they
50,
they bought a case.
Okay, so number 56
Which one is that?
is Thai basil.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time.
I get that with
Yeah.
the chicken Thai basil because they have one in Highland now.
Yep, they do.
And I swear to God, this like it immediately takes me
Yeah.
to that dish and that feel with like a hint of like the fresh spring roll because I get like a little bit of cilantro or
Sure.
like not basil, the basil.
Thai basil, yeah.
Yeah, I
it
like
was,
it's
yeah.
oh God, it's so good.
Thanks, man.
It's so good.
Thank you.
Fuck.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Chimichurri's a shit too, man.
Oh, thanks. I like that one.
It's
too.
really good.
Yeah, that's nice and bright and easy.
Yeah. So you said you've got some more
Yeah,
ideas
we're-
in the hopper.
Any you want to unveil?
Yeah, we're gonna-
exclusively on our audience.
We're actually doing a hopefully our final tasting tomorrow.
Okay.
We're gonna do some. We're gonna call them mimosa mixers, just all natural, really interesting combinations of juices. The one that we're working on now is a tangerine orange.
Just meant to top off sparkling wine.
Yeah, or anything sparkling. right?
Anything, sure.
Yeah,
Or just for your kids to just
yeah.
guzzle.
A little less sugar so
Yeah.
they can do it. I'm not going to give away the whole ideas behind it.
No,
but,
that's, I mean, it sounds great.
But yeah, so we're gonna
Coming
do,
to a
we're
store
gonna do
soon.
a couple of those and maybe a couple more, another hot sauce and
Oh man. Anyway, this is great. Thanks so much for stopping
Yeah,
by.
for sure.
Thanks so
Thanks for
much for
having
talking
me.
to us
This
about your
is
product, about the business,
for sure.
about all of it.
Could do this all day.
Where can people find you locally? Like what different stores?
May I guess? Can you go to lovejoysbrand.com?
You can, and
Love
because
Joy's.
we've talked about this, there's
There's a
where to find us at.
I know. I
Or-
texted
Okay.
Charles a
Great,
while
but-
back, a long time ago, and I was like, "Where can I get your product?" And you were basically, I'm sure you were nicer than this, but after you said it, I was like, "Oh God!"
Look
you
it
were
up,
like,
bro.
"Look it up," basically, because you can go to the website.
yeah,
And it shows you
there's
everywhere you can get it.
Right.
At
We try to
retail.
update it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But there's
Okay.
some spot. I mean, we're around here.
LoveJoy's brand.
LoveJoysbrand.com.
Or just
Certix,
Google
Kowalski's, Top 10 Liquors.
Okay.
South Glendale.
South Glendale's.
France 44.
Yep.
Well, it's incredible, man, and
Thanks again.
nothing but continued success.
Thank you.
And I hope to see your face on billboards like the Nicolay Log.
Oh
Pretty
yeah,
We're
Oh,
gonna find somebody. We're gonna find you'll be like, that's not LoveJoy. But, like,
Dude, it's gotta be.
gonna be.
He's
You're
got to
like,
be just an extremely handsome man.
Yeah,
I
you're,
know,
you're,
you know?
Charles is way too humble. It'll never happen. But goddamn, if we don't want to see his face on a billboard,
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
he would hate it.
the worst.
Oh my God, he would hate it.
That
I
would
would,
be
What if
the worst.
I
Andrew
would
and
hate
I
it too.
independently paid for a
We could
Charles
put all
LoveJoy
three of us
billboard.
up and you want a house? You want a bloody?
Yeah,
we got you covered.
bus benches.
Yeah.
You want to drop some beats, lay down some
Celebrate your-
tracks? We got you covered.
celebrate your new house with a LoveJoy's
Yeah,
Thai basil bloody.
for sure. Done.
Welcome to BooMTimes, a segment called BooMTimes, BooMTimes.
So BooMTimes, I want to shout out not only the movie Conclave, but also significant others, partners, wives, spouses in general, because last week, my wife and I were looking for a movie to watch, and we after the kids went to bed or whatever, and we were like, let's watch Conclave. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a great film. It's a new movie.
Yeah.
It's on. You can stream it. It's really good. It's about the Pope dying and the conclave of popes and cardinals and shit having to find a new pope or something. Whatever. The movie's great. However, I want to shout out Spouses because John Lithgow is in that movie.
Yes, he is.
Do we know who John Lithgow is? Yes, both of you? Okay. My wife didn't, and she's like, oh, it's that guy from Bigfoot. And I immediately knew.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes!
Yeah, right.
And, significant others are great because they'll say stuff like that and you immediately know, oh, yeah, it's John. I was like, it's John Lithgow.
I thought you were talking about a movie named Spouses.
Yeah,
That was
Oh,
adjacent
no,
to
no.
Conclave. I was like, where are we going here,
There's
buddy?
priests
Just
and,
life, long-lasting life partnerships where you
Sure.
can finish each other's sentences
Yeah.
in how it relates to
Yeah.
Harry and the Hendersons and John Lithgow
course,
and
yes.
Conclave.
Gotcha.
Casey, what do you got?
So I'm going to shout out another movie. It's called A Real Pain. I don't know if you've
Never heard of it.
It is written by Jesse Eisenman. Is that his name?
Eisenberg. It's the
Eisenberg.
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah. So he was the
Vehicle,
dude that
yes.
did the Facebook movie
Yeah.
and the voice for
and
Rio
And Zombieland.
and Zombieland.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's like
the actor.
The actor.
Yeah. Okay.
So and then Kieran Culkin
Mm-hmm.
of Macaulay fame. And what's the movie? What's the show he's on?
Succession.
Succession.
Yeah.
And it is like a really thoughtful movie about these two cousins getting together and going to explore their grandmother's home in Europe on like this like Jewish history tour. So they join like a tour. So they see like the Holocaust and like learn about the Jewish history because they're both Jews. And then, but really it's like, it's an exploration of like what it, like their relationship and like the sadness that sort of they have, and Kieran Culkin in particular, like him as he deals and how he deals with his sadness and what it means to like feel and show that feeling in like today's world versus like accepting it and being like a regular family man and having to like tuck your bullshit away because your pain is unremarkable. So it's like this juxtaposition of these two different cousins and how they deal with the emotions that they have. But it's super funny because Kieran Culkin is basically like the same dude in everything he plays.
Sure.
Like the shit-talking
Just
funny guy.
shit-talking, yeah.
He's so
But
funny.
he just won a Golden Globe for it.
That's awesome.
Because it's one of his more nuanced, better performances. And the movie itself it's a great hour and a half watch that's deep but not too deep, not obvious. And like my kids watched it with us. And at the end, it was one of those ones where my wife and I were like, that was a really great ending. And my kids were like, that's how it ends? Kidding me? Like there's no like resolution.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's a great movie, and something I had never heard about.
I've
until
heard
my
good
wife was like,
things.
Cool.
Good BooMTimes.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got
okay.
anything, Charles?
Yeah. So
All right. We put him on the spot.
Yeah,
too,
I had no
so-
idea this was coming.
No.
But I was thinking about this, and you said, "What have you been watching lately?" Well, I have been watching Vikings and Timberwolves.
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
So, and then the Vikings not so. I mean, I have to record them all these games and watch them later at night. Like
Sure.
not late at night, but after the kids go to
Sure.
bed. So I do this, and
why do you do this?
because this is I like to fast forward first of all.
I
Yeah,
see.
get to
And
the-
then I like to get through it. And then if it's not going the way I want it to
You can turn
go,
it
I
off.
can turn it off.
Yeah,
But so lately, especially with the Wolves, like I've been turning it off pretty early in the games because they've been so bad.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch because I love Ant and I want to see him go through this.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
So what I do is I watch this show. It's on the History Channel called Ancient Aliens. Now,
Okay.
have you seen this?
I have. It's been on forever.
Like ever.
Yeah.
I've only heard of it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Because, because everything is tied to ancient aliens.
So your BooMTimes is when the wolves are getting killed, you turn it off and you turn this on.
I turn this on.
Got it.
And you can just sit there and watch industry experts
They do
talk
connect
about
everything.
everything. Hieroglyphs, ancient aliens.
Yeah.
Like mankind has never lifted a finger
Nope.
for as far as technology goes, or basically anything.
But
Yeah.
they always posit in these episodes like it's like a big what if. It's
Yeah.
like how they would have done it, or
This could have happened.
yeah. It's none of it's like
So
None
are
of
you,
it's scientific.
are you
No.
watching it like tongue in cheek, where you're like, this
Oh,
is
yeah,
not
no, I
this is
totally-
like in entertainment, or is it like
My
something
wife
I
you
just,
buy?
I just love the fact, like the mental gymnastics it must take to get to the, like to look at a picture that was scratched on the side of a cave 2,500 years ago and think that looks like a astronaut's helmet.
flip it to ancient aliens.
Why?
It's like the ultimate conspiracy theory, but
Yeah.
for like
But it's
galaxy brain.
It's just insane. Like everything is connected, and I think their tagline is "We're not alone. We have never been alone." And this is the proof.
well.
So
do
there
you
you go.
follow the aliens beyond that? Like all the stuff are they
No.
drones? Are they aliens? What's
No,
happening?
I can't. I find it hard to believe that it's all grainy footage.
Okay.
Nobody never has a clear picture.
Do you think
even
there
the military stuff that got released last year is all grainy?
Do you think there are aliens? Or do you think we're alone in the universe?
I haven't made that determination yet.
Okay.
I don't want to put that
Ancient
on you
aliens
either. I
haven't
don't want you to
swayed
be
you
the-
one way
yeah.
or the other?
not yet. That's why I got to keep on watching.
Okay, all right. See what happens.
See what happens. You never know, because there could be on the next episode there could be new
Could
information.
be the proof. Yeah.
And it's not just aliens, There's Bigfoots. There's, there's episodes on all of this stuff. Last night I was watching the Mothman. There's the Bigfoots.
Mothman.
Is this your
yeah.
version of like reality TV? This is like
It is.
I was just gonna say that
Yeah.
because I hate reality TV,
Yeah, me
like
too. I
The
can't watch it. I
Bachelorette
can't
or
watch
something.
that
Like
stuff,
people
yeah.
like hate watch it, or not even hate watch it. They watch it just so it's on and they are obsessed with it.
Sure.
That's not for me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my my Bachelorette.
It's funny the History Channel has turned into a channel that has nothing to do with history.
No, not at all. There's nothing
I used to watch it and be
historical
like, oh,
on
I
there.
like this World War
Yeah.
II thing they're doing.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Now
right.
it's
no.
like
There's
all
nothing.
aliens.
It's all aliens or whatever Curse of Oak Island. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
But it's on all the time.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. That's my boom time.
Okay.
I got another BooMTimes before we get out of
He
here.
always has multiple.
Dude, throughout my week, my brain is just thinking about stuff to talk about at BooMTimes. Radio Garden is an app. I had a showing way out by Afton Alps last weekend, and I brought my son with me. Normally, he's too cool for school, and he would never go to a showing with me, but I promised him lunch. So we went to this showing, and I'm going to sound like an old man here, but he told me about this app called Radio Garden. Basically, you get a picture of the globe that you can move around, and you can listen to any radio station live, in any city around the world.
Amazing. No ads, no pay for it, no nothing.
No, they're ads. You're listening to the radio
Oh,
station.
Oh, sure, but you're not like paying for Odyssey.
No, it's free.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so my son's a big English Premier League fan, and his team is Newcastle. So he just searched the globe, and the dot that is on the city Newcastle upon Tyne in England. We were going to this showing, and it's just this 3-hour show on a Saturday morning about Motown.
Oh, okay.
And it's this DJ, and he's talking about Motown and playing Smokey Robinson and the Miracles and the Jackson 5. And it was the coolest shit ever. And I'm sounding like an old man,
awesome.
but
No.
anyway, Radio Garden.
Okay.
If you ever want to mess around with it, it's a great app, and it's free. So friggin' check it out.
Done.
Anybody else got anything?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week. We will catch you on the flippity flop.
This must be the place. Yeah, this must be the place.